I've been wanting to do a catch-up video for a really long time, and every time I think of it, I'm nowhere near a place where I can record. I've been doing a lot of hikes in the morning, and I'm doing them at dark, and so I can either shine the video camera on the road or the pitch black sky or the same farm that I walk by every day, the same cows. I have been doing some shorts for those days, but it's really just the same thing. And I think that there's value to that. Every time that I go out, I'm always looking for something different, and I'm always checking in on those same things to see, what they're up to on that specific day. So it's been great. I'm doing a few things on the walk. So I've added some orthotics, some inserts in my shoes. I'm still wearing the Olympus, which are a little bit thicker. I'm doing that because I walk on a semi-paved road most of the time. And so I want to give my foot that much more support. Plantar fasciitis has gotten better, but it does flare every once in a while. The inserts don't work great for the topos. I feel like the heel kind of pulls out a little bit, and so I might have to get different inserts for that shoe if I decide to go ahead with that, or they just might be the shoe that I vary with, and that would probably be a good idea because, as I mentioned in a different video, there is a slight lift. They're not zero drop. Now, this morning, I put on my Lone Peaks with the inserts, and they actually felt really great, like fantastic, even better than the Olympus, which sometimes feel a little bit hard. Feel like I've got that pressure up onto my heel. And so I'm going hiking this weekend, and I'm going to take the Lone Peaks and see how they work out for me. So working with my foot still working with my knee. I have limited some of the stretching that I'm doing, some of the yoga that I'm doing, because I feel like it really bothers my knee. As far as imaging goes, the MRI showed that it was, or the x-ray showed that my knee is fine. MRI did show some inflammation, a cyst in one area, no major tendon damage. There was some like age-related stuff. But that being said, this is unknown still. We just don't know what's going on with the knee. It could just be that I haven't stopped. I really haven't stopped since I got off trail. And whether it's yoga or hiking or cycling, it's always something. And so that brings me to my shoulder. I'm getting shoulder surgery. It's scheduled for October 28th. And so I know I will be stopping in October. And I know that's probably not soon enough, but that is going to be a forced stop for me, which is probably exactly what I need. And so hopefully that will help the knee. I'm nervous about this weekend because I'm going to be hiking in the White Mountains in New Hampshire. So I did bring some KT tape. I do have some Leuko tape. I do have an anti-inflammatory that I might actually take depending on how my knee does. And I also can opt out. Even though I'm co-leading this retreat, I can certainly opt out for a day if my knee flares up. I think my foot's going to be okay. Shoulder, I'm really worried about too. So the gist of the shoulder is that it was a major tear. I have 3 tears in the left shoulder. I've been asked a lot of times what happened. And you know what? The truth is, I don't know. I don't know if it was 8 to 10 hours of hiking every day with trekking poles. I don't really pull on my trekking poles. I just use them for balance and kind of to plant. And I know that is true because the tips on my trekking poles are going like 5,000 miles strong. They're fine. They're sharp. No problems about that. So don't think that it's the trekking pole use. It could just be the motion. So when I walk and hike now, I try not to put a lot of motion in my shoulders just until surgery. We'll see how that goes. Now, the other thing it could have been was the 30 to 35 pounds that I was carrying on my back. Typically, they recommend no more than 20% of your body weight when it comes to backpacking. And I was carrying more than that. So I don't know if that was the case. I also don't know if it was just weak. I'm hypermobile in my shoulders and I've had kind of injuries before. So maybe this was just kind of the last straw. Additionally, I did fall. One fall I remember, it was in Pennsylvania. It was flat rock, but unstable rock. And it threw me forward. I landed. I thought I cracked my head open. I hit my bear can, thankfully. And I just remember thinking my knee, opposite knee. So it was my right knee. And I didn't even pay attention to my shoulders, but I'm sure I caught myself. I also remember the Mahusik Notch, climbing over those boulders with a backpack and like pushing myself up. I can't pinpoint a specific time. And part of that is because once June hit, once I was in Pennsylvania, I just hurt every day, all day long. My feet would hurt in the morning. They would get a little bit better. Once I got into Maine, sometimes my feet would hurt most of the day. In fact, those last few days, I just remember every step hurting. And so it would, if I was injured, I might have just accepted it as not necessarily an injury, but as in that through hike, you deal with it stuff. So I don't know. I really don't. I do remember getting into New Hampshire and seeing a massage therapist who is now my friend and having that ache. I couldn't sleep and feeling so good after that massage and so much better, but it coming back really fast. So I had imaging done. The MRI shows 3 tears. I did think initially that I wasn't going to do surgery. I was even putting it off and a kind of anti-surgery person. But after thinking about it, the issue is that the tear is severe enough that if I continue with the activity that I normally do, which I'm very active, then it will most likely get worse and may get to a point where it's non-repairable. And then I'd have to have a joint replacement, and I don't want that. The other thing, and this I think was the number one pushing factor, is that I have no strength. I can't lift anything up over my head with this arm. I can't carry anything with this arm. It doesn't ache at night anymore, and I can hold my phone or my coffee cup. So I would say if I had to guess over the last almost a year, right? I was off trail in August, so almost a year, I have like lessened my pain and issues by 60 or 70%. That's great. But I have not gained back any strength, 0 strength. And that really makes me nervous because I want to get better at certain things. I don't want my muscle like to disintegrate. And basically, that's like the prognosis. If I don't get that tendon repaired, I won't be able to use those muscles and then I will lose them. And I don't want that. So surgery, October. And the reason I'm doing surgery in October is because I have that big trip to Bulgaria happening in September. And so the doctor seemed to think that I could put off surgery until after that trip. I am really anxious, though, about the gear for this trip. I'm going to be doing some testing this weekend while I'm in New Hampshire because I have so much to decide on. In Bulgaria, most of it will be day hikes, but we do have a couple of overnights where we're going to be carrying everything. Most of the girls that I'm going with are carrying like 35 liters of space, and I don't have that option. I have a 16 and a 55. And my 55, as you know, is a Durston, and I'm kind of concerned about there not being that much support for my shoulder issue. And so the other option I have is that ULA circuit, and I don't think that that is going to provide much more. It will provide a little bit more support and stability. So I'm considering borrowing a friend's Osprey, but I do better with Gregory packs, and so I am trying to stash away some money just in case I need to buy a pack. I'll know a lot more this weekend. The other thing I'm trying to decide is it will be pre-shoulder surgery. So I am probably only carrying one trekking pole, and I don't even know if I want to carry that one because chances that it'll stay in my pack, and then I'm carrying the weight, I don't know. And then there's the travel aspect of it too. I will have to check my backpack, like my day pack, and carry on something, and then get the trekking poles in there and snacks for the trip. And it's just all in my head. And the truth is, I feel so removed from backpacking in general. I've only gone on 2 overnights since last year. And although I've done some day hiking, I haven't done a lot, and definitely not with a pack. I carry, my little Gregory 16 liter. And when I was in the whites this winter, I carried that as well. But I feel like I forget how to backpack. I know that sounds stupid, but I really do. And then I also get caught up in too many options. With my through hike, I carried the least amount possible, and everything was multi-purpose. And I didn't worry about it. I didn't worry about it. And now I have the potential for carrying a little bit more. I'm going to be spending more time in towns and doing a little bit more of that touristy thing. And it's just day hikes. And so that gives me more options and more overwhelm and more confusion and more uncertainty. So I may end up just turning it or, treating it like a backpacking trip. I'm not sure. I'm really relying on the mentors that I'm going with that have done this before to push me in that direction. As far as other things, training wise, I have stopped doing the indoor cycling so much because of my knee. I tried to see if walking, I just do the daily walk 5 times a week. And then one time a week, I do a 40-minute, 45-minute spin. And so that's more like interval or high intense or power training. I'm usually like zone 4-ish. And then my daily walks are zone 2 training. And then I have one other walk that I do that's more of a hike in the woods. And so that has been my schedule. I still do some TRX, mostly like stabilizing muscles for keeping my shoulders safe. And I have my daily hour-long yoga practice. I'm continuing with like handstands and stuff, which does not seem to bother my shoulder. Odd, but it doesn't. And some rotator cuff physical therapy so that I can go into surgery like doing the best that I can and hopefully rehab really quickly after. I am getting a second opinion on my shoulder just to make sure that, that I'm doing the right thing. And but it does look like it will be a 6-week in a sling recovery, and then 6 months before I can lift anything substantial, and up to a year full recovery. And that just feels like forever for me. It feels really scary. And so I'm starting to try to think about some of the things that I would do in place of all the movement that I do every day, because I move for 2 or 3 hours every day, including the teaching that I do. I can still teach without actually doing any of the practice or demoing, and I'll do that. I am excited because I'm going to be running a yoga teacher training, a 200-hour training in January of this coming year. And that I think will give me something to focus on, which is definitely something that I need. And having that focus, I think, will mentally get me through those 6 months. I don't know. I'm really nervous about that. Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, I used to have a lot of hobbies that weren't moving, and now I don't really have them anymore. My eyesight is part of it. A lot of the things that I did, I used to make mala beads and other crafty type things, and I just don't see all that well anymore. But I did pick up a hand pan, and so I'm learning the hand pan. Maybe that will be something that I'll be able to do. And of course, reading. Yeah, if you got any ideas, let me know. Anyway, this weekend, White Mountains, really excited. I leave in the morning and I'll be there. It'll be 5 days total, and then coming back, and I will see how I do. So hopefully, yeah, this is a good catch up. I have really missed this. I've really missed this. And it just seems like I don't have much to say, or the things that I do have to say, um, I don't know. I don't know what everyone's interested in. Um, if you want to know more about Bulgaria, I can share that as well. But I'll be here. Keep checking back in.